This is episode 11, a dual episode with me and my super, super special guest, Anita Myers. And we are talking about gardening, how to go from a black thumb to a green thumb, and just all things growth, inspiration, and emotional intelligent coaching today on Cultivating Guts. Hello, it's Tiffany, and welcome back to Cultivating Guts, a podcast where we discuss gardening, homesteading, gut health, and following our intuition. I am super excited to be back with you guys today. I've had so many insightful moments and ideas about really important topics that I wanted to share with you on the podcast. And today I'm actually simultaneously video recording this podcast. So if you've always wanted to see me as I do my thing live, hop on over to our Instagram channel, our YouTube channel, where we have this live broadcast video out there for you at youtube.com/Tiffany Hinton. You can tune in there. And if you're on YouTube, hello, we're eye gazing right now, and I'm really excited about it. I have had so many recent, oh my gosh, so many ideas, inspiration for the garden, channeled thoughts, communications, just so much inspiration for this year's 2022 garden. And today I'm super excited because we have Miss Anita Myers, who inspired me to take my love of gardening, my 40 years plus of gardening and being in the dirt, growing things, kind of took what I knew for granted or just was like it was commonplace, not realizing that what I actually knew and what came to me intuitively in the garden didn't always come to everybody else that way. And it was actually a fear of a lot of people. And so me and Anita dive into how she brought out the green witch in me, and at the same time, I brought out the green thumb in her, and how it was just a year ago, she reached out to me to think about seed starting, to think about a tea garden, to think about so many things, and it just has blossomed and grown, and there's so much. And there's gratitude, which you'll hear in this episode, because Anita was there from the beginning when my gardening, cultivating guts, and the green witch just started to just grow everywhere. And she just continued to, I don't know, just be this source of inspiration and encouragement all the way along the way. And so super excited for today's episode with Miss Anita Myers. And with that, guys, I just want to jump in. But before we get started, I want you to make sure that you subscribe, rate, and review the Cultivating Guts podcast. Send me a screenshot of your review to Tiffany@gfmomcertified.com. We will send you our 4-day Hacking Your Health gut detox plan. Also, if you're listening, screenshot your favorite part of this podcast. Share that on Instagram @GFMomCertified or @Cultivating Guts. I love reposting, and I'm excited to hear what you thought of today's episode. I'm so grateful to you and all the amazing listeners for helping us grow the podcast and share it with more people. And before we head into the show, here's a very quick word from our sponsors. So I'm super excited for our sponsor, Holistic Wellness. It is a CBD company that we found actually online during 2021, and we've been using their products in our house, our family, myself, our girls. I even gave some to a friend of mine and for her pet, and it is truly an amazing product. The uniqueness that Holistic Wellness delivers is that it's pre-portioned servings in a broad spectrum CBD in a portable beverage stick. So you could actually take a package, you can stick it in your purse, you can, pack it in your suitcase, whatever you need to do. But it's also in a stick that, like I said, is pre-portioned. So every grab and go stick contains 10 milligrams of CBD wellness, and they have a proprietary blend and it's water soluble, their hemp extract, which is also very, very unique in that you can put it in water, you could put it in juice, you could put it in another liquid. It completely dissolves, and it's truly amazing. The other thing that is really, really awesome about the Holistic Wellness is that they have different blends intentionally. So this beauty blend has collagen in it. So it helps your nails, your skin, your different parts of your body that need a little extra boost. They have a stress blend, which has lemon balm, or you're more familiar with what's called Melissa. And it is relaxing. It is also amazing. But if you're actually looking for something to relax you to go to sleep, they actually have a sleep stick. And in the sleep stick, it has a little bit of melatonin to help with your sleep, along with chamomile, which is shown to help relax the body. They also have a digest blend for those that are listening to our podcast that have stomach problems, complaints, bloating, just issues with digesting. And it contains papaya and turmeric, which are great for digestion. And it's awesome as well. I like this one. This is probably my favorite. The Digest Blend. It's an orange package. They also have an Energizer blend that has turmeric and ginger in it. And the Energizer blend is great if you need to pick me up in the afternoon, like you hit that 3 o'clock low and you don't really need to reach for caffeine. You just need something to pick up your body. They have a 10-pack that you can order on their website. And what's truly amazing is that for this holiday season, we have a special coupon for our listeners, and the code is GFMOM, so GFMOM, and it saves 25% off your order. That is like unheard of, really, to get 25% off your whole order. You can utilize this by going to the Holistic Wellness website. We've got the link below in the show notes. And I'm super grateful and excited for our brand new sponsor, Holistic Wellness, and to be able to offer you a great CBD product that is organically grown in a greenhouse, never touches soil. It's actually grown hydroponically. And it's combined, like I said, in unique blends with herbs and plants that have additional benefits for your body, whether it's helping you go to sleep or it's helping you aid in digestion, or there is, like I said, the collagen, or it's the helping you relax or relieve the anxiety. And so super excited. Again, the code to save 25% off your holiday order is GFMOM, and we'll have the link and the code below in the show notes. Can I share with you a secret weapon for thriving through the holiday season, thriving through life, and just keeping my gut in check, right? This is Gluten Away from Just Thrive. I love their probiotics. I found them about 10 years ago. They're a female-owned company based right here in Chicago. And this Gluten Away product that they have is a combination that is my go-to for every meal that I eat out, all of my travel, whether I'm on an airplane or in a car, or even if I'm going to a friend's house and I'm just really not sure about the cross-contamination. This helps me keep my celiac disease and Crohn's disease in remission. And when I pair this with their probiotic each day, my gut is truly thriving. I have painless stomachs. I don't really have cramps anymore. I'm regular, which is awesome, right? Nobody really wants to get constipated. And I know that I have a healthy gut colony of good bacteria living in my microbiome. Just Thrive's probiotics are a unique blend of powerful digestive enzymes. Their probiotics are designed to support optimal digestion and protect against hidden sources of tummy troubles like gluten. This gluten away product has the enzyme protease in it, which is scientifically proven to break down the gluten protein to make it digestible, to make it less abrasive on the gut. The resilient probiotic spores support the complex and complete digestive process and help me alleviate inflammation in my body. Our whole family uses Just Thrive's probiotics, their products, and their gluten away. Even my girls, you can bake with their capsules by opening them on the probiotics. The gluten away enzyme, like I said, I take it anytime we're eating out. I take it at restaurants, at people's houses. Even put it in my morning coffee, right? You can open it, add it to your coffee if you're not sure about the creamer or something else. And with the probiotic, you can do the same. You can add it to your coffee. Did you guys know that spore-based probiotics can survive warm temperatures even? This is how it allows us to bake with them. They can cook up to 500 degrees. And this means you can even add them to the probiotics to your morning pancake batter. We have a special community discount code just for you from Just Thrive Probiotics and their family at Just Thrive. And so the code GFMOM, GFMOM, saves you 15% off your total purchase at their website. We will add that to the show notes. We would love for you to add a bottle of Just Thrive Gluten Away and a bottle of their probiotics to your cabinet, in your kitchen, and also to your purse this season. So you have it with you anytime you're eating out or you're at a friend's house or any celebration or holiday meal. And thank you again, Gluten Away, for being our podcast sponsor. And with that, we're going to head right into the show. All right. Welcome back to Cultivating Guts. Today's guest, as you know from the intro, I'm so excited to talk to. So excited that she's finally here on the podcast with us. And you guys are in for a treat today for sure. Miss Anita Myers was somebody who has inspired me, and I think I've inspired her over the years. And we met, oh my gosh, 5, 7, I don't even know, years ago at marketing and networking events and all of those things that we used to do before we all had to stay home for a year. And we connected on so many levels because at that time we were both coaches. And I think we're still both coaches. And there's just been so much interaction. And she's had her own TV show. She's had her own radio show. She's had her own transformations. And I am super excited today. We're going to talk about how she uses her emotional intelligence coaching in her own life and how that evolved into her gardening and her evolution. And so with that, Anita, do you want to do a short intro?
Sure, I'd like to. Thank you so much. First of all, I think you've done plenty in terms of an intro about me, but I want to ditto everything you said in terms of how we met and where we were and where we are today. But Anita Myers, I am an educator, a trainer, and a coach. I provide consult. And the type of services that I give are all about emotional support, emotional development, and emotional empowerment. And, I use that word emotional very seriously because the world has really kind of groomed a lot of us to just think of the statistics, the logic, the typical intelligence. And there's nothing wrong with that. We need to have our facts. We need to have the information. But if you can really guide your facts with the proper emotional support, then you're golden. Then the feeling feels fulfilling. But there's a lot of people, I mean, millions all over the world who are suffering emotionally, which then makes you make really poor decisions. And you don't think about the facts so much. You don't think about the truth so much. So I have a lot of joy in it's a big passion project for me. I don't even want to call it a business. It is a business, but it is a passion project to see love put back on this planet, and love's what makes it work. Whether you want to call it passion, desire, getting where you need to go, finishing your goals and your missions, accomplishing those things. It's an incredible, fulfilling feeling for the heart. So that's what I do for a living. I love what I do. I will always be glad to help people learn these little shifts in your sailboat to get you to the island of joy. So I'm happy to do that.
I love it. I love it. So you have islands of joy and we have gardens of joy and harvests of joy. And it's
We
just all
do.
this super fun. Okay, so I'm going to dive right in. So every year you take what you teach other people and you use it for yourself. And so I saw this year you're learning to play the ukulele. Can you kind of talk to us about this process and what does that mean?
Yes, that's so funny. And I think what it is when it comes to me, as I grew up in my life, I spent a lot of time observing. And one of the things I've learned, especially with me being an only child, is that you're naturally inclined to being independent. You have to be. You're an only kid. And in my circumstance, I have my parents and me. So it's just three of us. And we didn't have any family members, and we had friends, but I'm first generation born American here. My parents came from two different areas of India. So there are cultural differences, coming in as an immigrant, those differences and everything else kind of created an atmosphere that had me alone a lot. And in my alone time, I had a great imagination. So I was able to be independent and think of things and get creative and come up with new ways to establish whatever it is or honing in on a skill. And I think the older I got, as I've learned so many different areas of what do we need to do to improve ourselves, I have learned that, and I think many people know this at this point, if you're looking at self-improvement and, that mindfulness matters, that when you want to do something to give health to your brain, to your mind, is you got to do something new. You've got to kind of pave a brand new path. You want your brain to actually go through, it tends to plateau. It's already done things. It's very comfortable. It established a pattern. And, what you want to do is keep it moving, keep it grooving, finding new things to learn, new skills to learn, and to actually find out, that your potential is so much higher than you ever thought it was. So every year, gosh, more than one thing I end up picking up that I want to do, because I think about, okay, can I write with my left hand? I'm a right-handed person. Can I write upside down? And I learned the writing upside down very easily when you are working, having contracts being filled. So you have to turn that contract around and say, so I got to read upside down and I got to write certain things upside down. But it became a skill that, you can learn to do these things, and it makes life a little bit easier when you have to do things like that. And we had the pandemic that took place. So when that pandemic came in, I'm sure this is another situation like 9/11, where everybody remembers the moment that things stopped or changed drastically. And, once upon a time, 9/11, we didn't see any planes in the sky. For
Mhm.
us living in the Chicagoland area, it is really uncomfortable because we live by O'Hare Airport and you always see the planes in the sky. So now with the pandemic, so much has changed. A lot of things took place and a lot of emotions were stirred. And because I do what I do for a living, I had been brought a lot of different emotions from parents, children, singles, you name it. They were reaching out to me for lots of different reasons, variety of reasons. And I had made a decision with the gardening thing to do that. When I did it, I knew it was like, I want to try and do something that's going to grow, because the growth was kind of getting stagnant in the world around me, that this is an area I wanted to work for myself. Then when it got to the ukulele, this year, to make a very long story short, was, you know, I knew that one of my like joys when I was a child was I wanted to play an instrument, and I got introduced to playing the flute in school because there was a band in school, and that was the instrument among the others that were available that I liked the most. I'm like, I'll try the flute, and I did all right, and I played since fourth grade all the way through high school. And I got done with that, and then I didn't pursue any more with it because I never imagined myself taking a flute, putting it in my back pocket, and walking around. But I saw people with guitars, and guitars, they were, when you're a college age student and you see your friends that are like hanging out at the beach and there's somebody out there with a guitar, and suddenly it's like a party. Suddenly it's
Mhm.
like so much fun. And then there's a campfire and you need a person to play. It just changes and elevates the moment to a very emotionally great, fulfilling moment. So I said, here I am 20 some years later, 30 or something, whatever. And I thought, I've always wanted to play guitar secretly when, in my 20s onwards. I thought I should take that. And I never made that important. I made everything else that was a priority be the priority. So this year, I already had the basics of gardening down pat, and I knew that I was going to learn some new things. But I thought, well, let me go and do a 30-day challenge on something smaller than the guitar, and that would be the ukulele. So if once I did it, I the work that I put into it is first coming up with the idea. Then I have to do some work around it, like where would I have my challenges? What's my personality? Am I going to get lazy and not have it done? Where are the problems that will get into play that'll interrupt my ability to do this? My schedule, will I be able to, so when I thought of all the things that could get in my way of learning the ukulele, I battled those things out immediately by writing them out, saying, okay, well, your schedule is going to be hectic. So you're going to create a time. Let me look at my schedule. Okay, I'm going to put it in my phone right now. Here's where I'm going to play. And I made this as intentional as I would an executive meeting. Like, this is important. This is part of my life. And I want to do it. And so I didn't know how it was going to go. I really didn't. I just knew that I wanted to do it. And we'll see what happens. If I screw it up, then I screw it up. If I'm great at it, then so be it. And you know what? I had such a fun 30 days because I think my mind was ready for it. My mind was ready for the mistakes and the goofiness. And I have a daughter who's 15 years old who's like so getting high tech into knowing what apps are out there to help put a video together to kind of record my moments, the ones where I was awful, the moments where I was repeating myself, where I can try to transition from one note to another. Tiffany, it was a great time because I got to see my family laugh every day. With the
That's
pandemic, we didn't want to
awesome.
watch television. We wanted to be together, and I didn't know. I didn't know that if I played the ukulele that they would come around and listen and laugh with me and at me. And then eventually I saw my daughter, who used to play guitar on her own, like when she was younger. She lost interest and she went to the piano. But she watched me play the ukulele, and I started seeing her grab my ukulele. Let me just see, she would say, let me just see something. Let me just try something. And it's grown now since Christmas, where now we both have a ukulele.
That's amazing. I love it. Oh my
It's been
gosh.
a lot of fun, a lot of fun.
It's like you became the person on the beach that you always gravitated toward
Yeah,
in your story. Yeah,
that's so observant of you. That is exactly what I my mind wanted, and to see that happen now, as the spring and summer come along, like I love just picking it up now. And even if I don't know a whole lot, what I do know, I play, and I
I
feel really
love
happy.
it. I love it. So, yeah, that is awesome.
Thank you
Such a
so
good
much.
story. So, I am going to take us to gardening because this is one thing I really want to share with the listeners. So, a year ago, I can't believe it's only been like a year ago. Oh my
I
goodness.
know.
Right? Like, as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, like last February.
Yeah,
Anita
I
called me
felt
on
like
the
it was
phone.
2 years ago.
I know it feels like 2 years ago, but I think it was just last year. You
Hmm.
like you either called me or you messaged me, but you're like, "I want a garden. I know you kind of do it. I've seen you in pictures." And I wasn't an avid promoter of gardening at that point when Anita first reached out. So I will be completely transparent, you guys. I gardened for 40 years, but it wasn't anything that I kind of just took it for granted. It wasn't anything I boasted about or my ego said, "Oh, it's, something that everybody needs to know." None of that really happened. It was just something I did. It's something that made me happy, and I grew things and cooked them and ate them and canned them, and a traditional Midwestern farmer, I guess, in Chicago. So not traditional. Anyway, so Anita calls and she's like, "So I have this idea," and we moved and I knew she'd moved. And she's like, "I need you to come out and look at my plants. And I have another idea, but why don't you come out?" And she's like, "And I don't really like to garden, and I really don't know if I'm going to be good at this." And she had all these little things that she was walking through, and you told me a story about your mother and how she used to just make you water the plants, and that just made you not so happy because that was the only thing you got to do to interact with them.
That's
And
right.
so,
That's right. I have to interject here and just say something about how funny you are when I'm hearing you say what you're saying. Because you just, when you say like, "Oh, I wasn't an avid gardener." And here's the thing. That like a year before, I just like you said, I saw pictures, you were posting things on social media, just like, you just happen to be doing this. You have this full on ridiculous garden, and you're just like da da da, getting the pumpkins, da da da, got the beans, got the cucumbers, and and like you have all of this food. A sustainable life is what you were living. And when I approached you, the reason why I did was because of those pictures, because you knew what you were doing. And when I don't know what I'm doing, I need to connect myself with someone who, like, this is what you do is on the side. You just happen, oh, just this is the way you were. It's like, how people look at their dress, like, oh, just this whole thing.
right.
Your garden is amazing,
Thank you.
amazing. So when I reached out to you, I did believe, like you said, that I was afraid, because I had a really bad relationship with the concept of gardening because of what example you just mentioned. My parents made me do chores. And the chores are usually, when you look at the word chore, you think it's a negative. It is. It feels like master servant, do it, and do it right, or and you get in trouble. And everything that I had to do was watering the plants, and it wasn't like with some pretty little watering can. This is a hose that's loaded with a bunch of soil, and it's dirty mud. It's just gross. So when you're a little kid and you're afraid of bugs and you don't know much about much, and then you walk around and then all of a sudden you pick up the hose and it's just all slimy and gross, you just have a negative connection with it. And that's where my relationship with gardening was. Like, I'm not gardening. I'm just going to have a fake plant in my room, and I won't like have any care about it because it'll just be alive all the time. I tried getting plants in my home in the past, and I just watch them die because I never knew that it sounds so embarrassing right now when I say it. I never knew that there was like, the each type of plant is its own like child, like they
Yeah.
have their own needs. And if I had just known what the needs were, I would have fulfilled them. But I didn't know
Yeah, they have their own energetics, their own spirit, their own, like you said, their own needs, their own need for light and humidity and water and music and, all this stuff that they're just like a child.
that.
And so in this, like, so I guess I want the listeners to understand is like you had this fear. You found a resource in myself and also in Facebook and in some gardening groups and collaboratives that you could take all your questions to. And it didn't matter if the question was dumb or not dumb, every question was valuable. How did that evolve for you? Because the other thing I want the listeners to know, and I joked about this before we started recording, but to me, Anita was like a black thumb in her description. But then when I started seeing like her grow things, I was like, oh my gosh, she's got an amazing green thumb that just like sprouted, like Tinkerbell came out of nowhere. Um, how did that all come, and how did you face those fears of asking those questions?
Well, I'm going to say that, while there are, I'm a big advocate for human help. Okay. And here's what I mean. When I was pregnant, okay, there was a point where, uh, when you get pregnant, there's this whole ritual that I guess a lot of us do, where we go to Babies R Us, and then, or whatever the place is, so that you can get the gifts for your baby shower. You want to go ahead and register the types of gifts for the registry. And the idea is you want to get just everything that you think that your baby might need, and it'll be easier for you. Some people don't do it, but this is what I did. And the thing is I walked in my pregnancy, and I realized this about myself. I walked in, and when you walk in, there's aisles of all sorts of products. And let's say you're looking for a pacifier. There are 40 to 50 different types of pacifiers. So what happened to me, in short, was I walked into Babies R Us the first time to do this registry, and I walked right out. Because when I walked into the aisle and I saw all the different things, it just kind of had me feeling very uncomfortable, and I was nervous. I didn't have any history of knowing what anyone would do. What's the right mom? What's the good mom buy? What's the thing I'm supposed to register for? So it took me 7 trials
Oh my
until I could
gosh.
finally get in there. And the only way I was able to go through it was my friend, who already had a baby. Currently, it's not like 30 years ago had a baby. So traditions are different and things are different, products are different. So she just had a baby not that long before. So she came with me, and she spent, like, I don't know how many hours I was in there. And that was very important for me, because then my nerves can calm down. She can say, don't get this, get this, don't get this, get this. This is a waste of your money. They're just going to just take all your money out of your wallet. You'd rather just get this. Okay. So now fast forward to this. It's so funny, because I just mentioned to you about, like, these are like babies, right? My plants. So here I was, and I just learned how to, the idea of plant the seed and it grows. These beautiful little babies show up, and it's like, oh my gosh. And when I talked to you about doing this, I did look on YouTube, and there are definitely channels there. I did look at articles, but the best part was having you, and you didn't pay me to say this. I'm just literally saying this. You have no idea what I was going to say today, right? You have
No
no
idea.
idea. If it weren't for you to say to me, I'll take you, and we'll go together, and I'll show you around. And when you took me, like, you took me, and we went,
Yeah.
and we had the best time, just for the sake of having the best time. But when we got to the location, seeing your expertise, like, it's natural. It's just a natural confidence. You know what these things are. You know how to, like, smell something and say, this is what it is. And I don't have to doubt you one bit, because your confidence shows. But besides that, you were listening to my nerves. You were saying, you don't want this, you want this, you don't want this, you want this. Well, let's look at what it says here. I'm not even sure. You even were honest to say certain things, you really weren't sure about. We have to look into it. But at the end, you showed me, like, the expertise that you had in looking at my garden. And I have a lot of land around me, but this was one area I wanted help in, and that was creating a tea garden. That's my creative thought. Like, why can't I plant things that I could create? I love tea. In fact, I have one right now. And you said, well, what would you like? I did some research. I told you what I liked. And then you looked at the details of the characteristics of each plant and perennials where they would be, and you came to my garden and you measured the area. You said you need about this much space, this much depth. You gave me the instructions and you even wrote it out for me. So the thing is while I can see other things on video and while I could read words, when you see a human being and the vibe, and you see like there's something more that's so special in having your involvement, because you really care and you show it through all the actions that you did. So I mean, without getting emotional, I just want to tell you I'm so grateful to you
Thank
for
you.
doing that. That was a big deal because that made me have the confidence of like, I did this with your boost of what to do. And then all of your workshops after that, you're inviting me to them. I'm reading it. I'm going there and I'm thinking, you can do that. That's so exciting. So it's really about you.
Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
it's honestly, it's a little bit of both of us, to be honest, because you were the push to say, okay, I have something I can offer people. You were the push that said, come to my property. And then I had, 9 more people last summer that were like, come out. And I'm like, okay, I've done this once. I can do this.
I
Um,
remember that. I remember you sitting at my table, and it was this most amazing thing because you were so like you are an innocent, lovely woman, anyways. But the look you had when I said, "Why are you not doing this normally?" Because it came so easy to you. You're like
yeah.
the graph paper and everything to design what the garden can look like came to you like, you're making a strawberry shake. It's like nothing. And
It's,
I think that when I mentioned why aren't you doing this, you're like, I don't know.
I had
And
no
the rest
idea.
is history.
It is that
So
trip.
proud of you.
Thank you so much. Oh, I can't wait to share with, but anyway, I have to kind of keep that. Well, actually, this is going to come out after tomorrow, realistically, so I can share in a little bit.
Okay, okay.
Um, but yeah, so we went to a huge garden store that I had a relationship with the family that owns. You're right, and we walked around and looked for the items for the tea garden. I was so inspired by Anita's tea garden that I came home that next day and ripped out a huge patch of grass in my own backyard and started at that point what I called a tea garden. But it's interesting. And I know, Anita, you were raised, right, multicultural as well. And I've been doing a lot of Kundalini yoga and just studying different pieces of different world religions for the last 3 years since I spend so much time at home. And the whole concept of like past lives is very interesting to me. And I
Yeah.
feel like in one of my past lives, like I was that like village edge witch or right or that herbal lady that they went to or medicine woman or whatever because it's intuitive for me to smell something and know what it is or to know like well this is what you want but I can't really tell you why I know that I just know that. And so what started out as my tea garden at home, the more I've learned and researched it, is actually a Hecate's garden for the goddess Hecate because I actually have poisonous plants that I planted because they were beautiful, but they're highly poisonous. Right alongside with my thyme and my catmint and my lemon balm, and so that space for me is awesome, and I love it, and I'm so grateful for that inspiration that you gave me to just come back to my own property and rip out more grass, and
I'm
put
glad
in
I
all
did.
these
That's so
additional
exciting to even
herbs.
hear
Yeah,
that.
it is, and that's gonna grow. And so for yourself, right? So you had your tea garden, and I know you did vegetables up on your patio. How did
Oh my
all
gosh.
of that like how did you
You know,
feel? Your
I'll
energy,
tell
your
you.
emotion?
I realized something that I didn't know that this was going to snowball into what it did, but I have zero regret on it. It was a beautiful dance, if you will. Like, when you first get on the dance floor and you're a little bit nervous and then you start like the groove is good. So you just keep going. You don't even know your feet hurt. It's like crazy. So when I first started, I had my nerves, right? And I didn't know where to begin to have a garden. I remembered when I first got moved to our home about 3, 4 years ago, and the big space that was in the yard, it really made me afraid to even go there and dig down in there because I didn't know if I could handle it. Would my back hurt? Would my knees? I've got issues, So a lot of those challenges were hitting me a little harder than I wanted to. So that when I reached out to you, I remember you showing me where I could do it. But I remember saying to you, I don't know. I'm going to see. I'm going to see. So I thought, let me start small. So I knew I could handle that little tea garden. But then what happened was because I was learning as much as I was, every time, I mean, Home Depot, I think, became my best friend, because every time I would go to Home Depot, it became like my new Target, but for plants. I would
Yeah.
go and see, oh, look at this plant. Let me look at what the instructions are. I can handle that. Let me try this. And what ended up happening was I had a garden that was in the ground. Then I had a garden that was on my deck that had the carts, like these little carts that were there. And I just put a couple things in there and tried to follow the directions there. And then you, my dear, because of one of the workshops that you had, I believe, I want to say it was one of those, that I had sunflower seeds.
Oh,
And
yes.
because I was on a roll of imagining where things could be. So I said, oh, Tiffany gave me these sunflowers. I can just see this beautiful array of sunflowers over there in the corner. It'll make me go there and make me get used to this big patch of grass to get to that corner, and maybe it'll look beautiful. The sunflower started to grow, and even though, like, I've learned the hardships of gardening, where if you don't know how to protect the things that you grow, the animals are going to get it. And I'm in the middle of the woods and a marsh, and so we watched this big, huge cat-sized bunny just enjoy my
He
sunflowers
was
as
so
they were growing.
grateful, I'm sure.
But I wasn't mad about it. I actually said, if it happens, it happens, and I'm going to learn from it. But now I know about, putting a fencing around. But
Yeah.
I ended up having a garden in like an above ground garden, a regular garden that's in ground, and then a garden on my deck. And then I went for the front freaking yard. Tiffany, I
It's
was
just
out of
like
control.
bloop, bloop,
My
bloop.
husband just will tell you behind my back. He'll be like, every time she said it was over, I knew it wasn't over. I'm like, this is the last one. This is the last plant. No. So I started ripping out grass in my front yard at the end of the summer, beginning of fall, doing a little research, realizing that, there's a time to plant bulbs.
Mhm.
And I just knew that there's so much green in my front yard, which I like the green. It's really beautiful, but I did want to see some color. So now we wait. I went ahead
How
and
many did you put in?
I don't even know. I don't even know. But I tried, like, what I learned is you have to sketch out, and this I learned from you again, because you sketch
Yeah.
things out. You showed me the way you look at it first in your imagination, and then you bring it to life. So I sketched out how I wanted the front to look, the way that it's already designed. I tried to work along with it, and now it's like, what I did when I first were working with you and worked in the front of the garden, I had to rip out dead bushes that weren't there. It was empty, and I planted some things that, based on the makeup of it, they were perennials, and
Mhm.
they should. I guess in the first year they don't grow very much. The second year they creep, and then the third
Yep.
year they leap or something.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's what that's all I'm doing. I'm trying to work on those things. But what's nice is when you see it grow, when you follow the instructions, if it's full sun or partial sun, it needs this kind of water. And more than anything, I mentioned about, and that I work with emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
So I was looking at all of these things with a lot of love. I really was. I was so excited to see it grow. I would walk out there, and it gave back to me. My deck ended up becoming the most beautiful scenery for me to sit and just kind of get away from the work that I was doing. Some things you hear are hard to hear, and you manage it, you help them, you move past it, you leave, and then I get to walk out of my patio and sit and see all the colors, and see the hummingbirds show up. Like, I never saw a hummingbird in my whole life. And then here they were, monarch, hummingbirds, finches. I'm like,
That's awesome.
I was crying the whole summer in joy. I'm like, oh my God, look, I took like a million pictures.
It's
So
so beautiful.
look,
I
right.
remember you also posted like a picture. So another thing that the listeners have no idea is that Anita and her husband named all their plants last year. So not only were they babies, but they had names. So you had a baby okra, and
Yes, it
that
was
was
it was
truly
Oprah. It
amazing.
was Oprah Winfrey.
And the reason I bring this up is because gardening is a science, but it's way more than a science. It is about the self-care. It is about the emotional connection to those plants. It's about, grounding and de-stressing. And kind of just getting out in nature when you need, like you just said, you need to get away from things you heard, or you need to get away from the news or whatever's going on. It's its own world that you can go to.
It is. It really is. And, we always look at things on a physical level. But if we were to kind of combine the physical with the energy level, the energy, it changed my home. I mean, and I'm not saying that I had a horrible life in my home, but the energy was lower. We have stress because my husband now, think about the pandemic. People
Mhm.
had to stop working in their offices and come and work at home, and the kids don't go to school. The energy was different. It was a struggling energy of trying to all work together in the same facility. My husband's stressing to make sure that he can get, meet his quota. He's in sales. He's working in the basement. I'm working up here. My daughter's working in the dining room. It's a lot of different emotions that were going on, and it was the most amazing thing, honestly, Tiffany. I'm not even kidding you, because my husband wasn't someone that I would have imagined I was going to ask for help. I wasn't going to say, "Hey, come and help me. I'm going to do this as a project. I want you to do this." He, and my daughter is not someone who's really like, I was really doing all the digging and the
Mhm.
whatnot. But then eventually they came around. They're like, "Hey, can we help? Hey, let me water." And it turned into, over the summer, my husband is like, "I'll water the plants. That's okay." And he'd watered even if it's like 9 o'clock at night, because he realized that when he goes and waters the plants in the front and the backyard, like, he's going everywhere. He didn't even care. It was so stress reducing
For
for
him.
him.
Yeah.
He loved it. So our whole family was
Yeah.
outside. And because I was all excited and inspired, they got excited as well. They wanted to know what excited me so much. And then they'd go check it out. And then they found me so ridiculously goofy that they liked that energy. So it really made the family feel good. The energy that these plants, I mean, I just think I showed you here in video that this is my fake plant. But if I could only tell you, like, here, I don't know if this will even show, but I mean, this is my plants here now. I'm out of
That's
control.
awesome.
I've got all these different plants. So, here's all of these. I don't know if you can even see here.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So, because of these little steps that we take, you can do more, and they give back. They're so
Mhm.
glad that you loved them.
Yeah.
It's a really great relationship, and I think that's the thing I learned about, even with finances. If you have a poor relationship with finances, you got to learn to have a better relationship. With me, I didn't have a relationship with anything involving plants, but I got to see you know how you managed it. And it didn't, when I watched you at your workshops at your home, you're looking at everything like you're a mom taking care of all of them. Did you clean up? Are you okay? What's going on over there? You don't need to wear this. You need to take this off. Like, that's how you are with all your plants. You got a little schmutz on here. Let's just take this off. You were so confident in your wanting to grow great produce, and you did.
Thank
And I
you.
think that that's what's necessary, is to build that sense of confidence. And I would highly recommend that if anybody could get to learn from you, they should, because that's a personal, they're all individualistic things.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. And I happen to be a very motivated person, because that's just how I roll. But people who are unmotivated can become motivated simply because plants don't argue with you. They just want to love you.
They don't
It's a good
argue, but they
thing.
may not produce.
Yeah.
You may get no vegetation. Uh,
Be nice, and you'll maybe get an okra or two.
oh my goodness, this has been so fun. So I have taken what we've talked about a year ago, created the podcast all about cultivating, whether it's cultivating intuition, energy, businesses, or plants.
Yeah.
Rebranded my business, which I know you've seen.
Yes.
We hired and I say all this not to brag, I say all this in gratitude, Anita. I
Oh
hired
yeah.
a photographer already for the whole year to come out and just take pictures of the garden. That's her job. And starting February 1st on the Lunar New Year, we're going to release the Ultimate Greenwich Garden Planner, which is going to have graph paper that I've designed and all of these fun little pieces that I use when I plan for people in a little planner so they can either do it with me or do it on their own. So,
Oh my
thank
gosh.
you.
I can't tell you how genuinely happy I am, because that the day I saw you doing what you were doing, it just made so much sense. And to see where you're going, it feels right. Like it's so
It's
super validation of you. Like so happy for you. That's
Thank
so great.
you.
Congratulations.
Thank
I can't
you.
wait to see
It's
what happens
just,
in like 10 years.
oh
Like
my gosh.
where will you go? This is so
I'm gonna live in
exciting.
a jungle. No, that's what my husband thinks. Um,
Build a jungle
we
around you, my
are building a
goodness.
greenhouse this year. I have plans drawn for that. I'm building a greenhouse. And
Oh my
so, for
God.
those of you that are new to the podcast or you don't understand how my farm is in the middle of the suburban Chicagoland, I have 350 square feet of raised beds that grow produce. We have fruit trees, we have fruit vines, we have the Hecate's garden, which is an herbal garden for medicinals, and then I have flowers. Now we're adding the greenhouse, and I did put some chickens on my vision board. I'm not committed to them yet,
Oh my
but they
goodness.
are on there.
The
Um,
transformation is out of control. I
my
love it.
neighbors are gonna be wondering what the heck happened eventually, but
When they hear the rooster crow.
they're gonna send us back to the farm. But I actually, it's fun, and I think it's really important that we, as we move into our new abnormal, I guess is the name for it, that we
Yeah,
learn more about sustainability. We learn how to grow our own food, especially if you enjoy eating it. How to find out how it grows. Bring your kids in. It creates this grounding. It creates a de-stressor. If your plants all die, it's not the end of the world. They just compost and you start some new seeds. No big deal.
right.
Um, I don't really think there's anything to be afraid of.
It's funny that it's because we don't know that we think we can't do it. And if you start off with something where you just follow the instructions, and honestly, for me, learning that there's such a thing as grow lights that can help, and that just knowing that there's people in Chicago, that's what I would keep saying to myself, that there's people in Chicago that grow plants and they grow food and they do this every year. What is it that they do? And that's why, you're the number one person that I wanted to go talk to, because you don't live too far from me and you've managed to create all of that. And it's not magic. It just takes some work. And the work isn't really that as hard as it sounds. But it's also about the selection based on who you are, what you want to do. Like someone like myself, I know I'll be talking to you very shortly, because when I hear you say fruit trees, that's my next thought. It's like, can I actually grow fruit in Chicagoland? Can we do this?
We can.
And yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to hearing that. And I'll tell you that you're building a greenhouse, and I am actually looking to create. I'm right now in the plans. I know this is so insane. I'm so excited about this insanity. Uh, to build an enclosed garden instead of it being an open
Ooh.
one, just
Yeah,
because we have
yeah.
so many animals
Deer and
coming through.
animals and
Mhm.
yeah.
But now I'm just kind of thinking about, like, what is it that I would eat with my family often? What will I really reap in my sowing? Like, what am I going to want? And so I have to design. I'm going to design this enclosed garden, and then we'll start breaking the soil as early as we can, and I can try to have something finally by the end looking really great. So I'll be talking to you about that too.
Okay. I'm so excited. And I have one last question. How do you
Yes.
cultivate guts every day?
How do I cultivate what every day? How do I cultivate guts every day? That's a really good question. It's a lot of answers for me, because I think of, besides, I'll hit the food first. The way I cultivate guts is I have to have my tea. And I have, what I'm really glad about is we made this tea garden. So I have the different leaves that I use for the teas that I want. In the morning, there's a certain kind of tea. In the evening, there's a certain kind of tea before I sleep. Um, I do believe that your guts, there's a gut brain connection. So I believe that it's not only in the choices of what I eat, it's in the choices of how I think, and it's the choices of how I feel and the actions that I put along with it, because all of that can make or break my how things flow through my system. And I know I've had trouble when I used to talk to you about, where the stresses are holding things in. And I think one of the greatest things, that is the simplest thing for us to do, is we always start off in the morning for me, and then at night and everywhere in between, is to breathe. I think that it's not just about breathing, it's about really being intentional with your deep breaths, taking in the air. I know that we're in a time where it's a little bit difficult because of how things are wherever they are whenever you go out, but when you're at home and you're safe and you feel good, to take that great deep breath, to pause in between conversations and just breathe and just take in what you're hearing, listening really nicely, and changing your thought processes from I want to feel angry about something to I want to find out a way to find common ground. Like there's so many different strategies of keeping yourself in a good flowing state of mind. And I think that that also helps while you're eating your food and drinking your drink. So that's what I try to
I
do.
love it. Thank you. This has
Thank
been awesome.
you.
I'm so grateful. Thank you so
Me too.
much.
Me too. It's so much fun. Anytime you ever want to sit and chit chat about gardening, I am your girl. I
I
can't
love
wait.
it.
And I want to
Where
find out more. I want to watch you make that wonderful greenhouse, and then
it's going to be
you can
exciting.
help me understand what I'm going to do with my enclosed
I
garden.
love it. Where
Yeah.
can people find you?
I would say the best way to reach out to me is through Facebook. They can do that. You can also find me just to talk to me and look at my site. It would be interscope365.com. That's my website. It's all about looking within every single day. Interscope365.com.
I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Share with me your favorite part. And also share with me when you're going to actually start some seeds or plant a garden or try any of the things me and Anita talked about. Ask me any questions. I'm here for you, and I am excited to see your benefits and to see your plants grow. Satnam, love you guys. So if you love this episode, remember to share it with your friends. Send it to anyone who would love this inspiration and information that we shared. And to get our brand new Cultivating Guts, the Ultimate Green Witch Planner that is come out just today, February 1st, I want you to jump over to www.cultivatingguts.com. You can pick up a PDF version of the planner, and you can also purchase the Ultimate Green Witch Planner Bundle, which comes with the printed version of the planner. I know this one says not for, this is the proof, but it comes with the printed version of the planner. And it also comes with the PDF version, so you can print extra pages, reuse it, and a 2-hour class. So we can get you all set up to become a gardener, a green thumb, a green witch, whatever you want to call yourself, and get you growing some joy this season in your own space, harvesting things that taste amazing, and just get you feeling at ease in the garden, creating love. Super excited to do that. And if you send me a private email or a private message, Tiffany at gfmomcertified.com, and ask me for the early bird discount for the bundle, I will send you a coupon code, and you can use that code to purchase the Ultimate Green Witch Gardening Planner Bundle, and we'll get you a code to get that for $20 off. And our live Green Witch class, the 2-hour class that goes with the bundle, is scheduled for February 21st. Super excited for that. So excited for this planner to hit, for everybody to get their hands on it and to create their garden, to just like dive into their own creativity, to get out their colored pencils or whatever they want to use and just like become that kid at heart again, and to be excited to see things grow and talk to your plants and be in the dirt and play with the worms and just have that grand experience that I get every time I'm out there in the garden. And yes, I know it's February. It is not too early to get started. It is actually the perfect time. So sign up today over at www.cultivatingguts.com. Join us for the Ultimate Green Witch party that we're going to have with the Ultimate Planner Bundle and our 2-hour class, and just get into gardening this year. There's so much that you can get from a garden. 2022 is the year to do it. It's the year to create some sustainability, to create some creativity, and to reach back into your childhood and to be that child at heart, playing out in the dirt and creating joy in the garden and in your kitchen with your produce and your abundance. And it's so, so exciting. So again, to get all those details, head over to www.cultivatingguts.com And you will see everything you need to get started with our gardening masterclass, with our Ultimate Greenwich Gardening Bundle, and get you the stuff that you need to get going and growing your own food to help your gut.